Hello, everyone at home. Welcome to Reset Now, the Leadership Series, which is a brand spanking new initiative from the Australian Association of National Advertisers, or you may know them as the AANA. I'm Liana Dubois, Director of Powered, which is Nine's Marketing Solutions Division, and I'm joined by the always delightful Paul McIntyre, the Executive Editor of MI3.
Thanks, Liana. A fascinating character with us today, Peter Sloterdyk. He is the former head of original series programming at a small entertainment company you might have heard of called Netflix. He was also a former CMO at Grindr. There's an hour's conversation we don't have today, but has just been appointed the global CMO at KOALA. Now, KOALA is a hot Australian direct-to-consumer startup that's replicating what many US companies are doing in trying to upend established categories. KOALA started out as a mattress company and has now moved beyond to furniture and lifestyle. The Australian cricketer Steve Smith is an early investor, and Peter has been charged with taking the brand global through Asia and the US. So welcome, Peter.
Thank you. I'm thrilled to be here.
Peter, so great to have you here. Now, it's going to be a really fascinating story, and I can't wait for our viewing audience to hear it all. But what on earth were you thinking taking on this role right now?
My goodness, if only I'd had a crystal ball and known what was coming. I don't know that I would have changed my decision, but I certainly might have changed my timing or plans a little bit. It's been a really incredible journey thus far, and I haven't even left the States yet. I'm currently based in California, working remotely with the office in Sydney, doing my best to kind of match hours and participate with the team as best I can.
Brilliant. So in McIntyre's introduction, he talked about the fact that KOALA obviously is a fairly classic DTC model. What I'm interested in understanding, just to kind of set the scene and the context a little bit for our audience, is how KOALA's initial strategy really shook up the mattress category and industry, and how do you think that plays as KOALA looks to expand into other categories and also globally?
Sure. So I think, KOALA was really smart on their way out when they launched just a few years ago. They took advantage of a white space, certainly in the market, but they didn't just take advantage of it by entering into the DTC model. Instead, they really leaned on the customer experience, and it's something we're still really focused on today. Exactly what's going to make something a little bit more humanized, a little bit more personal in their experience. We want every customer to have the best experience possible. And that's from engagement with our advertising all the way down to the delivery experience and sleeping on the mattress or enjoying the sofa. Or any of our other products that are available today.
And those customers appear to be, unlike some other categories, flocking to KOALA, and you guys are seeing some and experiencing some growth. Can you talk to us a little bit about what you're seeing at a business level?
Certainly. So, it's an interesting side effect of COVID and all of the shutdowns that are going across, obviously globally, but certainly within Australia and Japan. What we're seeing is just a great increase in people spending time online, whether that is on TikTok or other social media channels, or certainly within e-commerce. And so the benefit for us, and we're really privileged to be able to take advantage of this kind of crazy time in the world. Our supply chain is intact, our logistics are intact, and we're able to continue to deliver to our customers. So we've seen a really great increase in engagement and excitement with the brand, and people being exposed to KOALA in a new and different way. Obviously, we, as McIntyre pointed out, we started as a mattress brand, but there's so much more available now, and people are really starting to see that come through today. So we're really excited. And again, really privileged. It is sort of a strange thing to see an increase in such kind of crazy times, but we're really grateful for it.
Peter, you talked about the direct-to-consumer model being sort of a classic one, but you're doing it a little bit differently. The startup focus is very, very lean. You talk about spending more time on customer service and customer engagement and conversation. That's different, right, to a classic DTC model?
Yeah, so a DTC model kind of on its face is really about efficiency and making sure that we're taking out all the middlemen and really getting directly to the consumer, as the model indicates. What I think there's a specific opportunity and privilege for DTC brands to actually lean in even further to connecting with their customers. And the consumer is ready and excited about that. That's what we've seen. And so one of the things I talk about DTC being a little dehumanized, not as a category, but instead that the digital experience can oftentimes lack that personalization or kind of the human contact, right, that you would get when you go into a store or when you're engaged with a salesperson on the phone or something to that effect. And so we've seen the opportunity and are doubling down on it even more so now to really engage with our customer on a one-to-one basis, whether that's through customer service or through social media or even through any of our advertising. Our recent spot that we ran on television in Australia was really focused on supporting local and making sure that we are all doing our part to keep the economy going even in these kind of crazy times. And so with that idea, right, it was going out and partnering with a number of local businesses. We wish we could have done it all, but we had to choose. And so we had the opportunity to partner with a number of local businesses to feature them in that spot, to get them a little airtime, to kind of take our privilege and extend it out to those businesses that don't necessarily have the ability to take advantage of television advertising at this point, so that we can sort of share the spotlight a little bit and invite people to continue to support local. That's the kind of thing that I'm talking about when it's about leaning into the brand side of things and to our brand offering, which is hopefully just expanding what we are obviously offering within our product.
Do you think that marketers, traditional marketers, should be looking at the DTC model as something they can replicate, Peter? It's talked about a lot. Can they do it? Can they do it? Should they do it?
So it's a difficult thing for me to answer because I think it's very category specific, and it's obviously when you're talking about a very established brand or someone who's not in the DTC model, it can be very hard to adopt sort of the DTC philosophy in the way that we work, right? Taking out as many of the middlemen as possible and going directly to the consumer, meeting them where they are, and kind of providing both a service and a product as quickly and as efficiently as possible. But I do think that there's something very specific that they can learn or that they can take from the DTC model, and that is speed. How quickly can you get to the customer? How quickly can you participate in their lives? How quickly can you join them where they are? I think that's something the DTC model or the DTC companies in the world are doing really well right now, and that some of the more established companies have an opportunity to lean into even further.
There's a grand irony in the DTC, at least in the US at the moment, where it's obviously been very much, as it says, direct to consumer, delivered direct and usually facilitated by an e-commerce platform. But we see a lot of US DTC companies now getting back into bricks and mortar and actually getting into retail. What the hell's going on there?
So it's a risky business proposition to lean back into brick and mortar. And the reason that I say risky is because it's really, really costly. There's a significant effort and a significant cost that goes into standing up even just one brick and mortar store, let alone several. There's a lot of value in the brick and mortar experience for a customer, and I don't have any intention of devaluing that.
Why are they doing it though, Peter? Is it just to expand sales?
So it's to expand sales, it's to reach customers in a different way. It's because one of the very specific challenges about the DTC model, which we've addressed in a couple of other ways that I can talk about, but that is trial. It's feeling, it's touching, it's experiencing the particular product. So when you're talking about a furniture item or a mattress or even clothing, there is a kind of baseline reticence among customers when they can't touch or feel the product or experience it themselves. And so we've addressed that through our 120-night trial to make sure that everybody has the time and the space to really experience the product and make sure that it's the right one for them. We've addressed it through our 4-hour delivery so that we can get it to you quickly and make sure that you have the chance to start engaging with the product right away. But other DTC models, especially in the US, are leaning into brick and mortar to kind of take that barrier to entry out.
Peter, can you talk to us a little bit about the now, what Koala is experiencing now, and how COVID-19 and this crisis period has affected your global and domestic expansion plans?
So from a domestic perspective, we are able to continue to lean in on our expansion plans. That's when it comes to products specifically. We're talking about introducing upwards of 30 to 50 additional products within the Koala range by the end of this financial year, FY21, this coming financial year. And so we have, we're really grateful and again, privileged that our supply chain and logistics are in place. We continue to have fantastic product designers and developers in-house that are doing incredible work. They blow my mind every day. about what they're able to accomplish with really simple, fantastic furniture that is going to, I think, really improve people's lives. And so on the domestic front, we're able to continue down that path. And we haven't really seen a material impact, again, a privilege for us in terms of those plans. When it comes to the international expansion, when we look at each of the markets that we're targeting for launch, we do have to continue to think, is COVID-19 going to impact our ability to launch successfully? So in some markets, you might think, okay, we know that this is a really tactile consumer and that a pop-up shop and a launch event is really going to make the difference in terms of our ability to launch successfully. And that's obviously quite difficult to do that kind of experiential marketing at this time during COVID-19. So that is part of the consideration, and we continue to have those conversations, obviously keeping our fingers on the pulse of when things start to ease up and are a little bit more friendly to things like experiential marketing events. But we are still moving full steam ahead. We're just having to augment our plans a bit.
Peter, your supply chain, it hasn't been disrupted. Is that because it's based in Australia, or where is your manufacturing bases?
Yes, so the majority of our supply chain and logistics are based in Australia and in Japan as well, where we are active in the market. We do have some partners offshore that we have been reliant upon and luckily are still intact. But we're really grateful that because of our strong Australian roots and the fact that we really are cemented in the community in Australia, that we've been able to maintain our supply chain and logistics.
And as you roll out globally, does that supply chain and your manufacturing base follow the markets, or is it going to stay in Australia? What's the plans there?
It's a great question. So it'll be it'll be a hybrid model, right? We will lean into the local markets where we're launching, especially for the logistics side of the business when it comes to delivery, et cetera. But we will do everything that we can to make sure that we can maintain our Australian roots. As we grow globally, we will need to reach out a little bit more to various offshore partners, but we will maintain our Australian roots entirely.
Peter, for those that don't know Koala, you have a brutal approach to simplicity in terms of your product lines. I think you talked about the mattress. You could have gone any number of mattresses, but you actually went with one, and it serves the entire market. Talk through a little bit about that strategy and whether that applies to the other products and categories as you move through.
Yeah, so I think what you'll see from Koala over the next year or so is that we are expanding, but only in a very specific way. So we are expanding with that same simplistic model, really trying to remove the overwhelming amount of kind of decision paralysis that can come, especially when you're shopping online. If you scroll for hours and hours, you get a little paralyzed by all of the choice available in front of you, and it becomes really difficult and kind of overwhelming, and you end up walking away. So from a Koala perspective, we will continue to deliver really, really simple products that are focused on solving that particular issue. What I can say, though, is that you will see a bit of expansion within that simplistic model. So what we're noticing, for example, with the mattress, what we're seeing is that our mattress is perfect for almost everybody, but not everybody. And there's still some other members of the market, some other customers that our mattress isn't quite perfect for. So we think there's some innovation and some opportunity there for us to take advantage of.
The other part, Peter, of your remit, which is not well known, is that you also have responsibility for technology. Now, there's a lot of debate in the market globally, actually, in the last couple of years about this convergence between marketing and technology. What are some of the challenges that a marketer like you faces in trying to bring those two things together? Any tips for your peers in Australia as this discussion and debate sort of continues to ramp up?
Absolutely. So I think most marketers in my position would agree that without technology, there is no marketing, and without marketing, there is no technology. They are completely intrinsically linked, and there is a sort of necessary tension between marketing and technology and how they work together. A healthy tension that we always want to maintain, because there's really good challenges in that. Marketing challenging technology, technology challenging marketing. I am specifically privileged to be able to lead both organizations, the marketing and technology teams within Koala. And the reason that it's a specific privilege is because I have the chance to sort of unite the two that are oftentimes, especially within larger companies, a little bit at odds. The one piece of advice that I would give to any of my compatriots in similar positions is to really focus on listening. One is not more important than the other. There is not a hierarchy between marketing and technology. They are on equal footing, and they need to be on equal footing. And so I think in order to maintain that healthy tension, There's a great deal of listening that needs to be done by someone in my position to make sure that you're taking all of the information in, that you're hearing all of the points of view, and really kind of thinking through your decision-making process with all of that information.
Now, Peter, we happen to know that you have incredibly ambitious goals, not only to ensure that Koala is a global brand, but that it fundamentally becomes a household name. You've spoken to us a little bit about the importance of technology and also your belief that customer experience really is a bit of a non-negotiable. What I'm really interested to explore next, though, with you is, through the lens of making Koala a household name, how does that show up in your marketing communications and in your media mix?
Absolutely. So, one of the buzz terms or the buzzwords in marketing frequently is personalization. I've always struggled with that word a little bit because we're talking about personalization at scale, right? And that can be a very difficult thing to do well. What I think we have the opportunity under the lens of aspiring for Koala to be a household name, which is hopefully in the near term future, what I think about is, instead of personalization, I think about customization and making sure that we are paying attention to the various customer journeys. We're not talking, there is no one customer. There are many customers that we hope to engage with and we hope will love our product. And so we have this specific opportunity to meet them where they are. And if we can provide full life cycle value, so everything from the initial consideration phase all the way to after purchase, where we are hopefully still engaging with you on social and through our email campaigns, bringing you back into the fold for additional products, but also providing sort of an inherent value in our design aesthetic and our assistance when it comes to shaping your room or shaping your space. There's a lot that we can do to maintain that full life cycle relationship with our customer. And that's what I think gets us to the place where we are a household name, because of all of the intangibles that Koala can and will deliver.
So on that front, Peter, when you talk about yours, let's talk about communications for a second, and what you're doing in terms of your marketing communications. Early on, direct-to-consumer startups like Dollar Shave Club set the benchmark really for how you can build a brand or build a business through social. A little bit ironic now that many of those DTC companies are now moving past social and past some of those digital channels back into mainstream. What's going on there? Why is that happening, and where does that fit for Koala?
So I think one of the reasons that's happening is because there is no successful marketing campaign that is single channel. When you think about growing a brand globally, Dollar Shave Club is a great example, and certainly Koala's on the path. When you think about growing a brand globally, or even in your domestic kind of home market, one channel isn't going to do all of the heavy lifting. And I think this is sort of a concept that most marketers agree with, but can find it difficult to execute. The marketing channel mix, or if you want to even talk about it as a budget balance, continues to be a challenge for all of us, because we know that performance marketing and social can be really efficient and can deliver great results. It has to remain a part of the mix. It has to be again, a foundational piece for us as we continue through, but we're now needing to lean into brand marketing channels, i.e. television, print, out of home, to really round out the full customer experience from a marketing perspective. So if you're just doing social, you're missing all of these other opportunities to engage with your customer. And what I've learned, at least in my experience, is that the full spectrum is always the most successful. I've even had the chance to test it to understand if one single channel can really do all of the heavy lifting that you need it to do. And surprise, the testing showed me you can't.
Can we unpack that a little bit more, Peter? When you talk about the levers that you can pull to ensure that you have a successful marketing philosophy, any successful marketer has a well-laid strategy, a flawless execution, but there's also a little bit of magic in achieving greatness. Can you talk to us about that a little bit more?
Yeah, the lightning in a bottle, right? That specific magic. And so I think that's the combination of art and science, right? When we think about marketing, there's all of this amazing data available to us to help inform our decision making and to help guide us on the right path. But at the end of the day, we as marketers are still employing our instinct, employing our gut to help make that final decision about what makes sense and what's going to be best for the customer. Let's all hope for a 90% success rate in doing so. But when we can use all of the, we talked about the levers that are available in front of us, that's experiential marketing, it's multi-channel marketing, it's taking advantage of the one-to-one communications through customer service or social. It's making sure that we've got a consistent brand messaging out in the market that is clear and understandable and a part of culture and kind of piercing the zeitgeist, if you will, which is an overused phrase, but certainly a necessary one. And I think with all of those levers in front of you, that's where the magic starts to happen, is when you can really find the right balance and the right mix. And it's a lot of testing and learning. It's a lot of quick failure and quick learning to make sure that we are continuously evolving how we balance all of that.
What's your mix now, Peter? Brand and performance. Where is it and where might it go?
Yeah. So in our history, we've been really, really focused on performance. So it was even maybe in a 70-30 split, 70 performance, 30% brand. Right now, we're inching a little bit more 50-50, and I might even see that go further into a 60-40 split between brand marketing at 60% and performance marketing at 40. What I think, especially for a furniture brand, for a furniture and lifestyle brand like Koala, really the top of the funnel and sort of those brand marketing moments for consideration are really, really crucial to maintaining our customer flow and to continuing the influx of new folks that are experiencing Koala. So yeah, right now we're right about 50-50, and I could see that inching back and forth between 60-40 and 50-50.
Hey, I know we talked about it really quickly earlier, but do you see, how deep is the change that you think might happen in consumer purchasing patterns, consumption, mindsets, mood? Is it deep? Because there's a great debate at the moment at whether it will just revert back to what we were, pre-COVID. But is there something more fundamental, or are you of the view that it will just revert?
Humans are incredibly elastic, right? So we do love to kind of go back. Even if you think about how easy it is when you're in the grocery store today, even if we've got a mask on or if we've got gloves on, it's pretty easy to kind of feel some sense of normalcy and go back to what's comfortable. When you think about how that equates to the economy and purchase behaviors and consumer sentiment, I think that there will be a material change. I don't know what that material change is going to be just yet, but I do firmly believe that this change in behavior that we're seeing today, that it seems kind of short term, will have longer term ramifications. But I do expect that everyone has the desire to get back to whatever the version of normal available to us is going to be. And so I think that desire will be really powerful and may kind of curtail or curb any major change in consumer behavior and sentiment.
Peter, thank you so much for your time today. Unfortunately, gents, I know we could talk all day, but we are officially out of time, which is so disappointing. Thank you for sharing your intellect with us, Peter, and Paul. Thanks for being my co-host. To everybody at home, we hope you found today's session really fascinating and got a lot of key takeouts to apply in your own work and life. Thanks so much for joining us for Reset Now, the Leadership Series, and we'll see you next week.